Tanya walked into the grand, polished lobby of the company building, trying to shake off the unease that gripped her. As the newly appointed head of marketing, she had earned her spot through years of hard work, late nights, and sacrifices. But stepping into the world of Hae-Jin, a Korean businessman with an infamous reputation, was a whole new level of challenge. She knew of him. Hae-Jin was the CEO, the beast of the company, known for his ruthless demeanor, sharp business acumen, and his cold, unapproachable nature. The whispers in the corridors were always the same. Don't get too close to him. He's dangerous. Tanya had heard it all. She knew about his untouchable reputation, his dominant personality, and his unrelenting control over the company. But none of that prepared her for the moment she'd finally meet him face to face. As she approached the executive elevator, she saw him standing there with an air of power that seemed to make the whole room shift. Hae-Jin was exactly what people had described. Tall, impeccably dressed in a dark suit, his cold gaze fixated on the floor as though nothing and no one existed outside his world. Tanya's heart skipped a beat as he looked up, locking eyes with her. His stare was piercing, as though he was assessing her every move, her every thought. There was a subtle shift in the air, a sense of power that made Tanya feel small despite her best efforts to stand tall. Tanya, his voice was smooth, almost too smooth, with an edge of authority. I assume you're here for your first day as the new head of marketing? Tanya steadied her breath and nodded, putting on her most professional smile. Yes, Mr. Hae-Jin. I'm here to get started with the marketing division, she replied. He studied her for a moment, his eyes unreadable. I expect nothing less than perfection from my employees. If you think you can keep up with the high standards here, you'll do well. Otherwise, you won't last long. The words hung in the air like a challenge, and Tanya felt an almost physical pressure to prove herself. But something else lingered there, a tension that had nothing to do with her qualifications or her work ethic. There was something about the way he looked at her, like a man who was used to getting what he wanted. At that point, she already seen him as described by other workers in the company. The elevator doors slid open, and they both stepped inside. Tanya couldn't help but feel the weight of his presence, the tension between them. She was used to being in charge, used to commanding attention, but Hae-Jin seemed to have a way of commanding space without even trying. The ride up was silent, save for the hum of the elevator's motors. Tanya's thoughts raced as she tried to steady her nerves. This was her big break, her chance to prove herself, and here she was, in the same room as the beast she had heard so much about. But was she ready for this? Finally, as the elevator reached their floor, Hae-Jin broke the silence. You're in the marketing department, but don't think for a second you'll be able to hide behind the team. I'm watching, Tanya. If you fail, you'll fail on your own. Don't expect any sympathy from me. Tanya swallowed hard. She could feel the weight of his words sink in, but she wasn't about to let Hae-Jin intimidate her. Understood, Mr. Hae-Jin. I'll do my best to meet your expectations. As the elevator doors opened, Hae-Jin stepped out first, moving with the grace and authority of someone who was used to being in control. Tanya followed closely behind, her heart pounding with both fear and excitement. She was determined to make this work, but as she glanced at Hae-Jin's broad back, she couldn't shake the feeling that her life had just gotten a whole lot more complicated. In that moment, she knew she was facing the beast she had heard so much about, and somehow she was already in his grasp. The only question was, how long would she last before she was caught in his world of power, desire, and control? The following days were a whirlwind for Tanya as she tried to settle into her new role as head of marketing. Her mornings were filled with meetings, presentations, and strategy sessions, while her nights were consumed with the never-ending challenge of keeping up with the high expectations placed on her. But as much as she tried to focus on her work, there was always one constant in her mind: Hae-Jin. Despite her best efforts to keep doing her best at the company, Tanya couldn't avoid him. Hae-Jin was everywhere, from boardroom meetings to unexpected check-ins in her office. It seemed like their paths crossed constantly, and each encounter was more uncomfortable than the last. One afternoon, Tanya found herself standing in front of the office elevator, scrolling through emails on her phone. She didn't notice that the doors had opened until she heard a low, familiar voice. Tanya. Her head snapped up, and she came face to face with Hae-Jin, his icy gaze already on her. She quickly stepped back to give him space, but her pulse quickened as he moved closer. "I'm glad I caught you," he said with a small, somewhat smug smile. "We need to go over some of the recent marketing strategies. I don't think your team is fully aligned with my vision." Hae-Jin saw Tanya different from other female workers, always threw themselves at him. There was something about her that is so different. She is so reserved and fearless. Ever since their last encounter at the elevator, Hae-Jin started feeling something passionate for her. Both couldn't bring himself down to show it to her yet. Tanya felt her stomach churn. The last thing she wanted was another confrontation with Hae-Jin over work. But she knew that she couldn't back down. She had to prove herself as a capable leader. "I will make arrangement with the marketing department," Tanya said nervously. He raised an eyebrow, an amused glint flashing in his eyes. "It's important, Tanya. I think it's time we work a bit more closely together." Before she could protest further, Hae-Jin pressed the button for the elevator and ushered her inside. He stepped in after her, his body close enough to make her painfully aware of his presence. The doors closed, and the elevator hummed softly as it ascended. Tanya tried to keep her distance, focusing on her phone screen, but she could feel Hae-Jin's eyes on her, like a weight she couldn't escape. "You know," he began, his voice smooth but laced with an underlying command. "I don't appreciate being kept waiting." Tanya frowned, her fingers gripping her phone tighter. "I didn't realize I needed to report to you for every minute of my day, Mr. Hae-Jin," she replied, keeping her tone calm but firm. The air between them thickened as Hae-Jin let out a low laugh. "Tanya," he said softly, "I understand that you're new here, but you need to learn that you can't avoid me. Not in this company. I am everywhere." The elevator slowed to a stop on their floor, and Tanya stepped out quickly, but not without throwing one last look at Hae-Jin. His expression was unreadable, but there was something in his eyes, a hint of challenge, of dominance, that made her heart race. The next few hours passed in a blur as Tanya tried to focus on the marketing presentation she was preparing for the board meeting. But she couldn't shake the feeling that Hae-Jin was always there, just around the corner. The tension between them grew with each passing moment, and she couldn't decide whether she hated it or secretly craved it. Later that day, she found herself in yet another meeting with Hae-Jin, the lines between professionalism and something deeper blurring with every exchange. Every time she spoke, Hae-Jin was watching her with that piercing, unwavering gaze, as if trying to read her every thought. Tanya was forced to sit through an excruciating session of back-and-forth business decisions. Hae-Jin's suggestions were sharp and to the point, but his disregard for her opinions was growing more annoying. At one point, after she presented an idea, Hae-Jin shot it down without hesitation. "Your approach lacks vision. It's too safe. If we want to dominate the market, we need to take risks." He leaned back in his chair, staring at her with his usual icy demeanor. "I'm not here to play it safe." Tanya's frustration bubbled up, and for a moment, she almost snapped at him. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to maintain control. "If you're so sure of your vision, why don't you lead the project, Mr. Hae-Jin?" He raised an eyebrow, clearly enjoying the tension. "Maybe I will," he said, before leaning forward with a dangerous smile. "But don't think for a second that I'll let you fail. We're in this together now. Like it or not, Tanya, we're bound by this company." As the day ended and she walked to her car, Tanya couldn't help but replay their interactions in her mind. Hae-Jin's presence was overwhelming, and no matter how hard she tried to avoid him, she couldn't escape the tension between them. The more she tried to shut him out, the more she realized that something, whether it was her growing attraction or his undeniable charisma, was pulling her back in. But she wouldn't let him win. Not yet. She still hated him. She had to. No matter the feelings she has grown for him. The tension between Tanya and Hae-Jin was becoming palpable, with every meeting feeling like a game of cat and mouse. Tanya had tried her best to focus solely on her professional duties, but Hae-Jin's constant presence was proving to be impossible to ignore. He pushed her, tested her abilities, and every time she rose to the challenge, it felt like he had a new test waiting around the corner. But there was something more to it, something she wasn't quite ready to confront yet. Hae-Jin had always been a mystery, and she had started to realize that the more she uncovered about him, the more complex the man behind the cold facade appeared. One morning, Tanya received an email from Hae-Jin's office that she didn't expect. The subject line was simple: "Private meeting, Hae-Jin Kim." She hesitated for a moment before clicking it open. Hae-Jin wanted to meet her privately, outside of the office, at a high-end restaurant, a place known for its exclusivity. It didn't sit well with her. She had learned early on that Hae-Jin rarely made casual requests. This meeting was likely another one of his tests. But she had no choice. As the newly promoted head of marketing, she couldn't afford to refuse him. The restaurant was dimly lit, the luxury and exclusivity of it almost suffocating. Tanya arrived early, her eyes scanning the room. She didn't know why, but she felt a growing sense of unease. Hae-Jin had already arrived, sitting at a secluded corner table, his dark suit making him look like the embodiment of power. He looked up as she approached, offering a small smile that felt anything but genuine. "Tanya," he greeted, his voice smooth as he gestured for her to sit across from him. "Thank you for coming." She took her seat, trying to maintain her composure. "What's this about, Mr. Hae-Jin? Another project proposal?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he studied her with a piercing gaze that seemed to see right through her. "It's not about business. At least, not entirely." Tanya raised an eyebrow, confused. Hae-Jin was known for his cold professionalism, but the way he was looking at her now made her feel exposed. "Then what is this about?" she asked, her voice slightly sharper than she intended. Hae-Jin's expression remained neutral as he leaned forward, his tone shifting. "I need your help, Tanya. There's a situation I've been managing, and it's growing out of control. Something personal, something that could put both of us at risk." Tanya felt a knot form in her stomach. She had expected a business proposal, but not this. "What kind of situation are you talking about?" For the first time, Hae-Jin looked away, his usual confidence faltering for just a moment. "It involves some people from my past, dangerous people. They've resurfaced, and I've been trying to keep it under wraps, but it's getting harder to manage. I need you to help me navigate this. I know you don't trust me, but I need someone who understands this company as well as you do, and you're the only one who can help." Tanya's mind raced. Wu Jing's past connections, the secretive nature of Hae-Jin's world, it was all coming together now. He wasn't just a businessman. He was a man tangled in a dangerous network, and she was caught in the middle of it. "I don't know what you want me to do," she said, her voice tight with tension. "I'm here to lead the marketing team, not get involved in whatever this is. I didn't sign up for this, Hae-Jin." He remained silent for a moment, his eyes fixed on her. Then, he leaned back and let out a heavy sigh. "You think I enjoy being in this position? You think I want to drag you into this? This is business, but it's also personal. These people have ties to this company, Tanya. If we don't act fast, the repercussions could affect everything we've worked for, everything you've worked for." Her heart sank. Tanya had always prided herself on her independence, but Hae-Jin was right. She couldn't ignore the threat hanging over them. She had worked too hard to let this ruin everything. Just as the silence began to weigh on her, Hae-Jin spoke again. "I'm not asking you to trust me completely, but I'm asking for your help, for the sake of the company. If you're going to continue working here, you need to know what you're really dealing with." Tanya took a deep breath. The weight of the situation was becoming more real with every word he spoke. "All right," she said, her voice firm. "What's the plan?" A small, almost imperceptible smile tugged at the corner of Hae-Jin's lips. "Good. We'll start with the next step then." The days following their private meeting at the restaurant weighed heavily on Tanya. Hae-Jin's confession had opened a door she wasn't sure she was ready to walk through. She had always suspected there was more to him than met the eye, but she never imagined he was connected to dangerous people, and that those people were now making their presence known. Tanya had always worked hard to keep her emotions in check, but now, with everything on the line, her resolve began to waver. Hae-Jin's dangerous world was impossible to ignore, and every day brought new challenges she wasn't prepared for. But there was still something about him, the way he looked at her, the way he spoke to her, that made her question whether she was truly ready to leave him behind. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Tanya found herself sitting in her office, going over reports. But her thoughts kept drifting back to Hae-Jin. She knew he had a hidden agenda, and the way he had looked at her when he spoke about the dangers his past held, it lingered in her mind. As if on cue, her office door creaked open. She looked up to see Hae-Jin standing in the doorway, his expression unreadable. "I didn't expect you to still be here," he said, his voice soft but commanding. "I'm finishing up some work," Tanya replied, trying to keep her tone neutral. But inside, she felt the unease rising again. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming, something neither of them could stop. Without waiting for her response, Hae-Jin stepped inside and closed the door behind him. His presence seemed to fill the room, and Tanya couldn't deny the magnetic pull between them. "We need to talk," he said, his gaze fixed on her. "About what's really happening." Tanya swallowed hard. "What's going on, Hae-Jin? You said I should know the truth. But it feels like every time I take a step forward, there's more I don't understand." He exhaled slowly, walking closer. "There are forces in this company, forces I didn't anticipate. They have eyes on you, Tanya. You've become more than just an asset to me. You're a target now. Because they have seen us together and now they feel we have something together going on between us." Her breath caught in her throat. "A target?" "Yes," he replied, his voice lowering. "If we don't act soon, they'll use you against me, and everything we've built will fall apart." The next few days were a blur. Tanya and Hae-Jin worked closely to strategize how to protect the company, and her role in the organization became more important than ever. Tanya felt the weight of the situation, but there was one thought that constantly echoed in her mind. Was this really the right choice? One morning, after a long night of planning, Tanya arrived at the office early to review some documents before the day's meetings. She was still going over some crucial figures when her assistant walked in, holding a file. "Tanya," her assistant said, her voice shaky, "you need to see this." She handed over the file, and Tanya's eyes scanned the papers quickly. The document showed proof of Wu Jing's involvement with the shady investors Hae-Jin had warned her about. But this time, it wasn't just about past mistakes, it was about betrayal. There were confidential reports, emails, and communication logs pointing to Wu Jing's active role in leaking information about the company's operations, putting everything at risk. Tanya's hands trembled as she read the damning evidence. Wu Jing had betrayed not only the company, but also Hae-Jin, and perhaps even her. "What is this?" she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Her assistant looked at her with wide eyes. "We found it in the server. It's a detailed record. He's been working with people who want to bring down Hae-Jin's empire." Tanya felt her stomach churn. Wu Jing had always been a mystery, but this, it felt like everything she had been working for had just been shattered. Later that day, Tanya met with Hae-Jin in her office. He seemed to have a sixth sense for her mood, and noticing immediately that something was off. "Tanya," he said softly, locking eyes with her. "What's wrong?" She hesitated before handing him the file. Hae-Jin quickly scanned the contents, and his face darkened. "Wu Jing," he muttered under his breath, his hands gripping the papers tightly. "I should have known." Tanya's voice shook as she spoke. "I trusted him, Hae-Jin. I thought he was just a competitor, a rival. But this is something else. He's been working against you." Hae-Jin closed his eyes for a moment, his jaw tightening. "I should have protected you from this. Wu Jing has always been a liability, and now it's all coming to light." But then, in a moment of vulnerability, Hae-Jin met her gaze and said, "I don't want to lose you, Tanya. This betrayal, it changes everything. But I need you to understand that no matter what happens, we'll face it together." Tanya was torn. The man she had been growing closer to was now involved in something far darker than she could have ever imagined. But the truth was, Hae-Jin was offering her something more than just protection. He was offering her a future. After the revelation of Wu Jing's betrayal, Tanya found herself standing on the precipice of a decision that could either save or destroy everything she had worked for. Hae-Jin's cold demeanor seemed to soften when they spoke about Wu Jing, but Tanya couldn't ignore the complex web of emotions that were tangled between them. The more she learned about Hae-Jin's past and the dangerous world he inhabited, the more she realized that her own feelings for him were no longer simple. As the days passed, Tanya tried to focus on the immediate challenges, handling the fallout from Wu Jing's betrayal, securing the company's future, and keeping her team together. But it wasn't easy when the threat of Wu Jing still loomed, and Hae-Jin's presence was a constant reminder of everything she had been trying to escape. One evening, after a particularly tense meeting with the board of directors, Tanya retreated to her office, hoping for some peace and clarity. The pressure was mounting, and her thoughts were clouded by the mix of anger and confusion over the betrayal. But before she could even sit down, there was a knock on the door. Tanya. Hae-Jin's voice echoed through the room. His usual business-like tone had softened, replaced with something closer to vulnerability. "Can we talk?" Her pulse quickened. She wanted to refuse, to stay in the safe zone of professional distance. But something in his voice compelled her to open the door. Hae-Jin stepped in, closing the door gently behind him. The air between them was thick, charged with unspoken words and emotions neither of them had fully acknowledged. He stood there for a moment, unsure of what to say, and Tanya felt the walls she had carefully constructed around herself begin to crumble. "Tanya," he began, his voice quieter this time, "I know I've put you in an impossible situation. Wu-Jing's actions, everything that's happened, has left us both in a place we never should have been." She folded her arms, her gaze unwavering. "You don't get to pretend like everything is fine, Hae-Jin. You've been hiding the truth, and it's cost me more than I'm willing to admit." There was a flicker of regret in his eyes, and he looked down, as though the weight of his actions had finally caught up with him. "I should have told you everything from the beginning, but I didn't want to drag you into my world, Tanya. I wanted to protect you." "By lying to me?" she asked sharply, stepping closer. "By keeping me in the dark?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a small file. It was a threat assessment report, detailing everything about the enemy Wu-Jing had been secretly working with, dangerous individuals who were now closing in on them. The betrayal was far deeper than she had imagined. "I didn't want you to see this side of me," he said softly, holding the report out to her. "But you deserve to know the truth, Tanya. You deserve to know why I couldn't tell you before." Tanya took the report, her heart sinking as she skimmed the contents. Wu-Jing's betrayal was just the tip of the iceberg. These people weren't just interested in the company. They had been targeting Hae-Jin specifically, trying to manipulate him, break him down. As Tanya finished reading, her mind was reeling. Hae-Jin wasn't just a powerful businessman. He was part of a dangerous underworld, a world she had no experience with and never wanted to be a part of. But she was already involved, whether she liked it or not. "I don't know what you want from me," Tanya whispered, her voice tight with emotion. "You've lied to me. You've betrayed my trust. How do I know you're not still hiding things?" He stepped forward, closing the space between them. "I'm not asking for your forgiveness, Tanya. I'm asking for a chance to show you that I can make things right. You're the only one who can help me bring this company back from the edge." Her heart pounded in her chest, torn between anger, betrayal, and the growing feeling she had for him. She had never expected to be in this position, not after all the pain he had caused her, not after everything she had worked for. Yet, somehow, Hae-Jin's sincerity was impossible to ignore. Tanya didn't know how long they stood there inches apart, but the intensity between them was undeniable. Hae-Jin had exposed his vulnerability, his fear, and regret. It made her question everything. Could she ever trust him again? Or was this just another game he was playing? "I'll help you," she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "But this doesn't mean I've forgiven you." "Not yet." Hae-Jin nodded, his expression softening. "I understand, Tanya. I don't expect forgiveness. But I will prove to you that I'm not the man you think I am." The company's atmosphere felt suffocating to Tanya as the days passed. Wu-Jing's betrayal continued to haunt her, and the weight of Hae-Jin's world seemed to grow heavier with every step she took. The more involved she became with Hae-Jin, the more she realized how dangerous the game they were playing had become. She wasn't just dealing with high-stakes business decisions anymore. She was tied to a world that was filled with secrets, danger, and manipulation. Late one evening, as the office was beginning to empty out, Tanya decided to step outside for some fresh air. She needed a moment of clarity, a moment to think. Her thoughts were scattered, caught between the growing feelings she was trying to suppress and the responsibilities of her work at the office. The cool night air hit her face as she stood outside, leaning against the railing, staring out at the city lights below. Just as she closed her eyes to take a deep breath, she heard footsteps approaching. Hae-Jin. His presence seemed to fill the empty space around her. She didn't turn to face him immediately, knowing that this moment, this night, would bring everything to the surface. "Tanya," Hae-Jin said softly, his voice more vulnerable than she had ever heard it. I didn't want you to find out this way. I never wanted to drag you into my world." She didn't answer, her heart racing, unsure how to respond to the weight of his words. Instead, she turned to face him. Hae-Jin stood a few feet away, his usual composed self now showing the strain of everything he had been hiding. His suit, always so pristine, seemed a little less sharp in the dim light, his demeanor uncharacteristically defeated. "I can't continue doing this," he continued, his eyes searching hers. "I can't keep putting you in danger, Tanya. The company, the threats, they're all because of me. You're not just dealing with business rivals. You're dealing with my past, with people I've tried to outrun, but they keep pulling me back in." Tanya's stomach churned. She had known it, but hearing him speak so openly about the danger of his past left her shaken. "So what? You think you can just let me go? Walk away from this?" "No," he said firmly, stepping closer. "I think I should walk away from everything. From the company. From the power. From the game. You deserve better than this. I've been selfish. I've been blind to how much I've put you through." Tanya took a step back, struggling to process his words. "So, you're asking me to walk away from everything? From the future we've been building together? You think I'd let you go through this alone?" Her words hit him harder than she intended. He stopped in his tracks, his face softening. "I never wanted to pull you into my world, Tanya. I thought I could keep you safe from all of this, but I was wrong. The stakes are higher now, and I'll protect you, even if that means stepping away." The conflict between them grew. Tanya was torn. She was angry at him. But she also knew that Hae-Jin had always fought for her safety, even if it came at a cost to him. "No, Hae-Jin," she said, shaking her head. "You can't just leave. I don't want you to give up on yourself, on us. You can't keep running from your past. We faced this together." She stepped forward, her voice growing stronger with each word. "You've been nothing but a tower of strength for this company, for me. Don't you dare tell me you're going to give it all up because of fear. You're not alone in this anymore. I'm with you." For the first time, Hae-Jin looked defeated, his emotions clearly on display. The walls he had so carefully built around himself were crumbling, and the truth was laid bare between them. "You're not afraid?" he asked, almost in disbelief. "No, I'm not afraid," Tanya replied, her voice steady but filled with resolve. "I'm angry. Angry that you think you can handle this on your own. I'm not afraid of your past, Hae-Jin. I'm afraid of losing you because you think I can't handle the truth." The words hung in the air, and Hae-Jin's eyes softened. He took a step closer, the distance between them closing. This time, there was no more hesitation, no more tension between them. "Tanya," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I've been wrong. I don't want to lose you, and I won't." Tanya reached out, placing a hand on his chest, feeling his heartbeat through his shirt. There, in that moment, everything between them shifted. The tension, the hurt, the betrayal, it all felt manageable with one simple truth. She wasn't going to walk away. They weren't done yet. The city skyline stretched out before them, bathed in the soft glow of the evening lights. Tanya stood on the balcony of Hae-Jin's penthouse, staring out at the horizon, feeling the weight of their situation hanging in the air. The dangerous underworld that Hae-Jin had kept hidden from her for so long was now threatening to pull them both under. Tanya had never been more certain of one thing: she couldn't go back. Not to her old life, not without him. She felt a presence behind her and didn't have to turn to know who it was. Hae-Jin stepped beside her, standing in silence for a moment, both lost in their own thoughts. "You were right," he finally said, his voice steady. "We're bound by this now, by everything we've been through. I didn't want to pull you into my world, but now that you're here, there's no turning back." Tanya turned to face him, her eyes steady. "I've already made my choice, Hae-Jin, and I'm not leaving. We face this together." He nodded slowly, his expression softening for the first time in days. "I'll protect you with everything I have. No more secrets. No more lies." Later that night, Tanya and Hae-Jin met with a trusted ally from his past, a former military strategist who now helped Hae-Jin navigate the dangerous networks he was entangled in. The meeting was held in a secluded warehouse, an old, secure location where no one could eavesdrop. As the plan to counter their adversaries began to take shape, Tanya realized just how deeply she had become involved in Hae-Jin's dangerous world. The situation was more dire than she'd ever imagined, but the strength of their bond, the trust they had in each other, was the only thing keeping her from walking away. "I'll be here every step of the way," she said quietly, her resolve unshaken. Hae-Jin looked at her, his admiration clear. "I know, and that's why we'll win." The sound of rain drummed against the windows of the sleek conference room where Tanya sat with her team. Tension was thick in the air as they reviewed the final plans for the operation to dismantle Wujing's criminal network. The clock was ticking, and every decision had to be flawless. But Tanya could feel the pressure of the situation closing in around her. She had Hae-Jin's trust, but with each passing day, the weight of responsibility on her shoulders grew heavier. The threats to their safety, the risk of losing everything, the consequences of their decisions, all of it was starting to take its toll. She rubbed her temples, trying to shake the feeling of overwhelming exhaustion. The board meeting loomed ahead, and Hae-Jin had asked her to take charge of the final stages of the plan. But Tanya wasn't sure if she could carry the burden any longer. As the team finalized their strategy, Hae-Jin entered the room, his presence commanding attention. He caught Tanya's eyes, and for the first time in days, she saw a flicker of genuine concern in his gaze. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, his voice just loud enough for her to hear over the murmurs of the team. Tanya forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just a little tired." But Hae-Jin could see through her. He stepped closer, leaning in as if to shield her from the chaos around them. "We don't have to do this alone, Tanya. If you need a break, take one." Her heart fluttered at his words. Hae-Jin had always been so determined to handle everything himself. But now, as they faced the dangers of the underground world, he was finally starting to understand the value of trust and partnership. "I'm not running away," she said firmly, her eyes locking with his. "But I won't let this destroy me either. I need you to help me through this, Hae-Jin. We're in this together, remember?" He smiled, a rare warmth in his eyes. "Always." The final confrontation with Wujing and his enforcers was finally upon them. The hours leading up to this moment had been tense, and Tanya felt the weight of everything they had been fighting for. The plan had been set, the stakes couldn't have been higher, and the danger was real. The world she had been trying to shield herself from had now wrapped its claws around her. Wujing was the last piece to remove, but it wasn't just about business anymore. This was personal. Tanya and Hae-Jin stood side by side, walking into the dark, abandoned warehouse. The scent of dust and old machinery filled the air, a stark contrast to the polished halls of the company. The underground world had always been lurking in the shadows, but now they were standing at the precipice, ready to face the man who had once caused so much pain in Hae-Jin's life. As they neared the inner chamber, Hae-Jin leaned in, his breath warm on Tanya's ear. "Whatever happens, Tanya, remember that I've never wanted this for you. This danger, this world, it's not where I want you to be." Tanya glanced at him, her heart beating louder than ever. "I'm here because I choose to be," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "I choose you, Hae-Jin, and I won't back down." They reached the room where Wujing was waiting, a cold, calculating smile spreading across his face as he saw them enter. The air crackled with tension, the power struggle coming to a head. "You really think you've won, Hae-Jin?" Wujing mocked, his gaze flicking to Tanya, as if daring her to make the wrong move. "You think she'll ever be yours?" Hae-Jin stepped forward, his expression hard. "You've crossed the line, Wujing. You've threatened everything I've built. And now, we end this." Tanya stood beside Hae-Jin, her hand brushing his for a moment. The brief touch sent a shockwave through her body, grounding her, and at that moment, she realized how deep their connection truly ran. "You've hurt enough people," Tanya spoke, her voice confident, though her heart was racing. "But I'm not going to let you hurt anyone else." The confrontation was quick, chaotic, but as Hae-Jin and Tanya worked in sync, moving through the fight with a shared goal, it became clear that this wasn't just about business anymore. It was about their trust, their relationship, and the bond they had forged despite the obstacles in their path. As the final moments of the fight unfolded and Wujing was subdued, Hae-Jin turned to Tanya, his face flushed with adrenaline. The weight of the situation, the danger, and the sheer relief of having survived it all seemed to hang in the air. But there was something else in Hae-Jin's eyes now, a quiet truth that he couldn't hold back any longer. Tanya, he said, his voice barely a whisper. I never thought I could let anyone in. But you've changed me. You've made me want to be more than what I was. You've made me want a future I never thought was possible. Tanya looked at him, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew what he was saying. She had felt it too, the pull between them, the growing love they couldn't ignore, even if they tried. I've tried to fight it, Hae-Jin, she confessed, stepping closer to him. I've tried to keep my distance, keep my heart safe. But the truth is, I'm not afraid of this. I'm not afraid of you. He stepped forward, his eyes softening as he closed the distance between them. I love you, Tanya, he said, his voice raw and filled with sincerity. I love you more than I ever thought possible. In that moment, Tanya felt a wave of emotion crash over her. She had spent so much of her life being strong and independent, but Hae-Jin had become something she couldn't deny. I love you too, Hae-Jin, she whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of the words. I love you, even in this mess, even when it's impossible. They stood there, their foreheads resting against each other, the storm of their emotions finally quieting. The battle they had fought together had cemented not just their professional partnership, but their personal connection. The bond they had forged, through trust, pain, and sacrifice, was unbreakable. They were ready for whatever came next, because they had each other. Thank you for watching Folk Tales by Quindora. For more interesting stories, please click on the subscription button